Good morning, Patriots. How are you doing today? This is Mike the Patriot coming to you live from the downtown metropolis of Lamont, Missouri. I hope you guys are having a great day wherever it is you are at. It's rainy here. In fact, I pulled my Jeep out into the rain so that it would get washed. It was dusty from Jacob's Cave, and I was like, man, I'm kind of looking at this, so I pulled it out. Yep, I did that. That's the way I do it. I don't care that much. It's good transportation. It actually is really good transportation. I can't complain about it. Oh, so how is it where you're at? Anyways, as you're logging in, you know the deal. I'm now coming to you live on all the channels. I'm on both the Facebook channels, YouTube, X, and Rumble, as I normally do on Friday. But my main source, if you want to watch my show Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. Central Standard Time, it's on Rumble or X, if you want to watch it, because Facebook sucks, YouTube sucks. Although YouTube here has been reinstating all of the people that lost their YouTube pages back a long time ago. And all these big accounts that they took down with millions of followers, they're reinstating their accounts on YouTube. We'll see how long that lasts. But as I say, this is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. And what I mean by that is that every day you wake up is a gift from God. So rejoice and be glad that you woke up, because the only breath you were promised was the one you just took a second ago. And the word of the day, as presented by Marine in the Woods. Can you say it? No, you can't. As given by the Lord is Luke 13, 6 through 9. That's Luke 13, 6 through 9. So let's get started this morning talking about what's going on. I've been reading up on what happened yesterday in silver. As we all know, because we were talking about it on the show, silver went up to $51, record-breaking highs. Gold also hit record-breaking highs at like 457 or something like that. And then they got pushed down. It was like we were watching it. It shot up real high in like an hour and then got pushed down like in 20 or 30 minutes. So what happened? Well, here's the graph. Here the start here, right here. This is hitting a record high above 50 bucks. The only other time that it got above 50 was 2013, 2012, right in there, right around the financial crisis. And then all of a sudden it tanked. So what happened? We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it a little bit here, because I think there's something to be said. So this is what it looked like. It peaked at $51 and then tanked. Right? It actually peaked right here at 51 something or another, dropped, went back up, and then tanked. And now we're only talking going down $1, but that's really for silver, which moves 10, 15, 20 cents at a time. That's a pretty good move for silver. So again, what happened? Well, let me explain it to you as best as I can. So that's how they say it in Missouri, by the way. Explain it to you. It's kind of like this little meme right here. It says, politicians watching the value of the dollar drop 50% against gold this year. Well, if it's dropping 50% against gold, it's dropping. The dollar has lost 50% of its value this year. That's why when you go into all these TikTokers going, oh, the tariffs have caused, the tariffs this, the tariffs that, has caused the price to go up. No. When you go in the grocery store and your price has gone up, it's because the dollar has lost 50% of its value to gold. That's 50% inflation, by the way. And they won't tell you that. No. They'll tell you, oh no, we got 2.9% inflation. Nope, because it's just like my analogy that in 1920, if you brought a gold coin into a clothier in New York, Saks Fifth Avenue, and you walk in and you have a custom suit made, a top hat, cane, shoes, the whole works, that $20 gold piece would buy that suit. You could take that same $20 gold piece, go into the same clothing store on Saks Fifth Avenue with the great grandson of the person that made it in the 20s, and he can make you a suit updated for style exactly the same for that same $20 gold piece for what it's valued today, and probably have change. So it's not that gold and silver are really going up, although there's some manipulations going on. It's that the dollar's becoming worth less or worthless, whichever way you want to look. So here's a comment that Silence Do Good shared, and I've been sharing a bunch from Silence Do Good because, and I like his page, but because it's Jew. I don't know what these Jew people are going to do. It says that's what the bankers are having to do to be able to pay the short. So what happened yesterday? They don't have the metal. There are some desperate bankers trying to exit shorts. It's like that lie to cover a lie to cover a lie. You just dig yourself deeper and deeper in a hole. They're having to pay higher premiums to borrow the little silver that's left to short in order to squash down enough to exit the short. See, that's what happened. The price went up. Everybody that was short was trying to scrounge up enough silver to dump on the market to bring the price back down so they could get out of their shorts without losing the shorts. We're seeing larger and larger daily swings in price. Volatility in silver is up. Things are getting interesting. Keep stacking, stack, as these people say. Oh, and if you put it together, they traded the entire annual production of silver in 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday, 800 million ounces in under 48 hours. Let me read that again a little bit slower. They traded the entire annual production of silver in 2 days on paper, over 800 million ounces in under 48 hours. That's what happened. That's what drove the price up. And there's to go deeper into this explanation. Here is this is over on Reddit. It says that silver lease rate is now 26.7%. I think the LBMA is about to default. Now, I tried to find a deeper explanation of this. It says during the squeeze, brokers were paying. So yesterday, okay, let me try to explain this for you so that you'll understand what I'm saying here as best I can. Try to put this in simple terms. When you are in a short, you can lease gold from people, or gold or silver commodities from people. What do you mean lease? So you're holding physical silver. They can lease that silver from you. Usually they pay 1%, 2%, 3% to lease that silver to cover their shorts. But yesterday, brokers were paying 150%. That's not up 150%. So if you were 1% and it increases 150%, that would be 2.5%, right? No. 150%, from 1% to 150% to borrow shares. I imagine borrow rates for physical silver could get equally as high, as a broker will want to get out from under the short obligation sooner than later, which TRCH and MMTLP, which are technical terms, but I got so bad that SEC had to cover the hedges and brokers who naked short sold, and to to date, they have never had to pay the investors back. Too big to fail BS. In the case of silver, though, there are too many investors to hoodwink. He's talking about when the banks failed. That's what that was. Too many investors to hoodwink. And my guess is that a lot of people with paper silver in accounts are going to get screwed while physical decouples to the moon and paper drops to the floor. Then there's another, this is a bigger explanation right here. It says, I've been brokering silver and gold since 1980 and seldom have I seen a day like today. This is yesterday. In fact, never. Silver is suffering a classic short squeeze where the shortage of deliverable silver squeezes traders who have shorted silver, sold in advance without having the silver in hand. The shorts must cover at any price. A physical shortage in the market results in a backwardation of prices, i.e., spot silver price rises above the futures silver price just backwards of the way it usually runs. It is also possible to lease silver, i.e., rent it for a while. The lease rate, while they don't call that interest rate, dad burn it, normally this interest rate is very low, 1%. For many years, lately the shortage has been driving up rates over 5%. Overnight, last night, this is why the price went up, the rate jumped 100%, jumped to 100%, not by 100%, but to 100%. And this morning came down to 50 where it remains. Never before has this happened. So the shortage is acute. It will suck silver out of hiding like a Hoover vacuum cleaner the size of New Jersey. Chaos erupted in the market. At first, gold hit 4057 and silver hit 5119. Wholesalers widened out their bid-ask spread from 8 cents to, that's the premium, to take your pick of these three, 73 cents, 85 cents, and 154 cents per ounce. That means if you wanted to buy silver, the premium was 154 per ounce on the wholesale, above the spot price. Ain't never seen that before. Somebody started selling and panic followed. So the price hit 51. Here's what happened. Here's why the price went down. Listen closely. Somebody started selling and panic followed. Probably the rumor or fact flew that somebody had inventory to sell, and that blew the pressure valve. So this thing was about to go, but somebody started selling silver or said they had a massive amount of silver to sell, and so the explosion didn't happen and the price dropped. In any event, that high price and lease rate will draw out a tidal wave of silver enough to solve the immediate shortage. By no means is this the end. So that's what happened, is some silver started being sold and the shortage got caught up. By no means is this the end of the great silver bull market. It's just a short squeeze. And those happen from time to time. Probably the whole squeeze drama was engineered by U.S. bullion banks just to squeeze London. So don't let it faze you. Premiums on gold coins and silver shot up today, responding to the heavy retail buying. For instance, Krugerrands, which yesterday at a wholesale brought $4 over spot, today leapt to $24 over spot. I've tried to update prices on the table below, but don't assume it's correct. On Comet, silver tumbled 180.5 cents or $3.71 to close at 46.85 at 12:30 Central Time. But in the aftermarket was trading at 49.32. So I keep telling you, the price when it's live is going down, but in the aftermarket, because it's traded all around the world, the price is going up. That's not a typo. That's a 274 cents rise. It's nuts. Gold plunged $97 or 2.4% to 3,946.30 on the COMEX, only to rise to 3,982 in the aftermarket. On COMEX, the gold and silver ratio 1.36 higher at 84.2331 to 1, while the spot ratio closed down. You'd expect gold to show a key reversal today, but it didn't reach a new intraday high. Still, a lower close tomorrow would signal a reversal and retractment. Gold nearly hit its upper range boundary, which would also argue for a reversal, except that gold didn't quite touch the line. Anyways, he gets into a little bit of deeper stuff right there. The point is, what happened yesterday was such an anomaly. And I've been pointing this out for a while, that that the price goes up, but it's so manipulated on paper. You know, there's a visual I can show you of this happening. There's a visual. I mean, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like when this happens right here.
Winthrop, Valentine.
Hey, how'd you make out today?
How could you do this to us after everything we've done for you?
Oh, see, I made Lewis a bet here. Lewis bet me that we couldn't both get rich and put you on the poorhouse at the same time. He didn't think we could do it. I won.
I lost. $1.
Thank you, Lewis.
After you.
Certainly.
That's basically what happens. And this is what happens to these short sellers when they get caught with their shorts down. You know, if you've watched the movie The Big Short.
Well, you can't expect us to...
You know the rules of the exchange, Mr. Duke. All accounts to be settled at the end of the day's trading, without exception.
You know perfectly well we don't have $394 million in cash.
I'm sorry, boys. Put the Duke Brothers seats on the exchange up for sale at once. Seize all assets of Duke and Duke Commodities Brokers, as well as all personal holdings of Randolph and Mortimer Duke.
My God, we're ruined.
That's what happens. This is a perfect example. And one more, what's it look like when it's actually happening? This is how you manipulate a short market right here. This is how you short right here. This movie, you didn't know this movie was for educational purposes only. So just got to say that so YouTube and Facebook, which I'm on right now, doesn't get mad. I'm only going to play a few seconds at a time. So Fair Use Act, you can use under 60 seconds, which is what I'm doing here.
Not yet. Almost. 220, take them. 209. Yeah, got him.
139. 140.
Hey, today, let me have the start.
Now. South Garden April at 142.
What's happening is they came in, if you watch the story, and they put all their money together and they bought a whole bunch of shares of the orange futures at like less than $40 a share. Then as the price was driven up,
They're selling more
Well, that's
at
ridiculous.
142.
Unless the crop report...
God help us.
So that's what happens is they're selling and the panic begins. There's the panicking. Everybody's panicking because they know what's happening. They know the price is going down.
You asshole!
Actually, no, not here. They know the price is. We're buying right now in a panic, but the price is not dropping. And it gets ready to shift. It gets ready to shift. And when it, okay, so it's let me fast forward this. So the orange future guy gets out and says his thing, right? And I'm stopping this with a few seconds here and there, so for the fair use part. And then then the whole thing switches.
Currently not affected the orange harvest.
Now they're saying sell, sell, sell. Now the price starts dropping. They were selling at 140. They bought low. They sold high at 142. And now as the price drops down, everybody's selling, everybody's freaking out. They're just standing there. Price keeps dropping. Chaos ensues. Now watch this. Now they're buying them back at 146 where they started, and the price is still dropping. Everybody's trying to get out of it. That's how a short works. What you just saw right there is how a short works. If you do it right. That's how it works. That's what just happened in silver yesterday. And they know how to manipulate. They all play with enough money to manipulate these markets like crazy. So just wanted to point that. I wanted to start the show with that as I was reading up on what was going on. The whole thing's manipulated. The whole thing's a game. The best thing that you can do when it comes to silver and gold is you can buy the real thing. That's why the PatriotMike show, that's a silver, that's a buffalo. That's what that is right there. Can you see it? That's a 1 ounce round. That's why the PatriotMike show says, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. The best thing that you can do is buy silver and hold on to it. Buy gold and hold on to it. Buy lead and hold on to it, whatever the case may be. That's the best thing that you can do. What should I do? What should I do? That's what you should do. You should buy and hold. And don't play games, because if you play games, you get screwed. Just like the two old guys in trading places. They played games. They thought they had it. They didn't, and they got screwed. Then there was breaking news yesterday. I'm sure you've all seen it, but we're going to talk about it anyway, because that's what I do. I talk about these sort of things. First, let me put this one out. James Comey. Let me go a different direction, because there's another post I want to talk about right here. This TMK character over on X says, seriously, Pam Bundy needs the answer to the American people why James Comey wasn't arrested, fingerprinted, or mugshotted like every other criminal in America. This double standard is completely unacceptable. Well, he did get fingerprinted and mugshotted. That did happen when he got his arraignment. That's how that happens. Okay? That happened to Donald Trump. The media wasn't there to blast it out. And Pam Bundy and the DOJ is not interested. You got to understand, the reason they raided Mar-a-Lago, the reason they perp walked like Roger Stone and Navarro and Steve Bannon and the rest is because they didn't have anything, and they knew they didn't have anything, and that these charges weren't going to get stuck. They knew they didn't have a case. It was flimsy at best. So they needed the perp walk because it was political. The reason Pam Bundy didn't perp walk Comey is because they got him, number one, and it isn't political. They don't care what the media says. They're going to try him. He's going to go to jail, and they're going to lock him up. The superseding charges, when they start doing the seditious conspiracy charges on the whole group, that's coming. So Pam Pam Bundy didn't do it. You know, the problem with these Patriot mythology crybabies, they're not doing anything. Donald Trump's been in office 12 and a half minutes, and he hasn't fired everybody and arrested everybody and charged them, put them in jail, cut their heads off. My sister told me for a major crime, and she works for the DA out there in California, a DA in a city out in California. She told me for a major crime, it's 2 to 5 years. 2 to 5 years before you get a conviction in court. Now, what they're doing is they're putting together the case together, and they're going to bring it to trial. That's what they're doing.
The way I would summarize,
hold on, and it's not about a media blitz. It's about a prosecution the right way. And it's going to come just because it's not happening your way and you can get a bunch of salacious clicks on your page. This applies to Tucker and Candace and all the rest. They're saying the same sort of crap. Now, here's some real reporting. Julie Kelly says the Wall Street Journal is reporting that the former FBI director Christopher Wray is under investigation. Former officials have received subpoenas in recent days in Wray's inquiry, according to a person with direct knowledge of the matter. So what do we have going on? We have James Comey indicted. Now we have Christopher Wray under investigation with subpoenas. That means grand jury's looking into it. We have Adam Shifty Schiff with grand juries looking into him. We have grand juries being opened in 3 or 4 different municipalities looking into several different people, looking into the Russia stuff, looking into the falsified FISA applications, looking into the spying on sitting members of the Senate and Congress. So what's going to come from that, we don't know yet. And breaking news yesterday afternoon about 4:00.
There's breaking news on News Nation. Letitia James, the New York State Attorney General, has just been indicted on a federal fraud charge, indicted in the Eastern District of Virginia. 1 count of mortgage fraud after an investigation is what we're hearing at this hour. This case, as has been reported, had centered primarily around how you, from what we understand at least, list your residences. Was it a primary residence in Norfolk, Virginia, or in New York? And now, of course, Letitia James, the Attorney General for the state of New York, who had defeated Donald Trump in court in between his 2 terms as president, becomes the latest Trump foe to be indicted following James Comey. There have been reports that there'll be more to come. Today, it's James.
So, Loretta, or Letitia, as she likes to go by, St. James,
Attorney General,
been charged. Here is MSNBC breaking news.
James has been indicted. Andrew Weissman, your reaction?
I think that I want to sort of address the people who might look at this and say this is sort of tit for tat, that you see that in the Democratic administration, you see them going after Republicans, and this is Republicans going after Democrats. This is where, one, even if 2 wrongs don't make a right, even if that were true, but this is where facts matter. In the Letitia James case that she brought in New York, there was a trial. Facts were adduced. We all could look at those facts, and Donald Trump had a chance, an opportunity to have due process and to hear all of that. Here, the process by which this has been undertaken, like the process that was undertaken with respect to James Comey, tells you that career people and even Trump-appointed people did not think that there was evidence. There were not facts that justified this. And I think a perfect symbol of the fact that this is different, that what we're seeing is different, it is not normal, it is not everyone does it, is to take a look at Abby Lowell, Abby Lowell is the defense lawyer for Letitia James. He was also the defense lawyer for Hunter Biden. In the Biden administration, the Department of Justice actually charged and convicted the sitting president's son. And Abby Lowell represented him and defended him and lost that trial.
Yeah.
And he is now defending Letitia James. And to me, when people say it's tit for tat, it's like, no, in prior administrations, and by the way, Republican and Democratic administrations under normal times, which I agree with Mark are gone. Under normal times in those administrations, there is no politics that is supposed to be considered. I'm not saying it's never considered, and there's aberrations.
No, Letitia James herself, I understand from sources, was fully expecting that she would be indicted. Again, keeping in mind that the standard for indicting someone is the probability that there may be a crime that was committed. And it's a very low standard, but she was expecting this and bracing for it herself. Prosecutors in the Eastern District of Virginia, some of them driven out by their decision not to bring this case, some of them resigning in disgust about other cases that Donald Trump is pressing and insisting upon. He wants to get to all the hits in his enemies list. Those people have been really tortured about all of this, because for them, not only is this not a righteous case, not only is this not a justified case, but for them, it does not even meet the bare minimum for the evidence that has to be presented at trial.
Oh, no, there's no evidence, blah, 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 blah. Well, here's the thing. They brought charges against Donald Trump because he misevaluated Mar-a-Lago on loans to a bank that didn't have any problem, because the bank did its own due diligence and determined its own value of Mar-a-Lago. And that they were completely satisfied that Donald Trump paid off the loan as scheduled, and they made a bunch of money, and they were like, you want to do another loan, Donald Trump? Let's do business. We'll all make money. And they tried and convicted Donald Trump, but sentence was never, well, actually, they didn't convict him because it was civil court. They got a judgment against Donald Trump because he said that his property was worth what the bank said his property was worth, about $500 million. And Letitia St. James says it was only worth $18 million. The charges against Letitia St. James is that over the last 20 years, she's bought multiple properties in which she claimed was her home property so she could get cheaper mortgage rates. She lied about a brownstone that she owns in New York City that has 5 or 6 apartments instead of 2 or 3 apartments, because she could say that that was her home address. And if it's only got a couple apartments, it still counts as a first mortgage. But she lied, because if it's had 5 mortgages on it, she'd had to got a commercial loan. And I see that Tina 0320, who's into real estate, she's a real estate agent, if I understand correctly, is on here. She'll confirm this, that a commercial loan on a property is a float loan. It is a short-term loan with a float. My commercial property had a 5-year note on it, and then you had to pay the balance. But they would reinstate it each time, changing the interest rate, of course, and changing the payment because the interest rate went up. She didn't want that, and it's a higher interest rate. You can get a low interest rate. Back 10 years ago, you get 1.9% interest on your home loan, but your commercial would be 6% interest. So she committed fraud to get a cheaper interest rate, not once, not twice, not 3 times, 4 or 5 times, including saying that she was married to her dad to get a first-time home buyer loan and low interest rates. She did basically the exact mortgage fraud she accused Donald Trump of. If you do this or I do this, or Tina as a real estate agent makes something like this happen, we all go to jail together. It'll be wonderful because they will not slap us on the wrist and say, you're one of us. No. They'd say it's fraud. You know, just ask yourself, when you see people like Wesley Snipes go to jail for tax fraud, when you see people like the cooking lady, what's her name? It just name just slipped my mind, but she went to jail. She went to jail because someone called her and said, you need to buy this stock. By the way, if she was running for if she was in Congress, it would have been legal. That's what she went to jail for. Martha Stewart, thank you. That's the difference here. That's what's going on here. You see, this is a real crime. Again, we're not going to have a perp walk so that all the social media patriot mythology pushers can get up there and get a bunch of clickbait going. No, we're not going to have that. We're going to do this right. We're going to do this right. And it's going to be a big deal. You know, so here she is. You know, of course, this is AI, but it's fun. It's a meme. Yep. Now wait till the Soros. They're going after Soros, by the way, with this Antifa stuff. It's being reported right now that Antifa leaders across the country are fleeing the country right now. But wait a second. I thought Antifa was, what is Antifa? Antifa's just a thought. It's just an idea. There's no leaders. Glenn Beck was pointing out yesterday about Antifa that George Soros, one of George Soros's groups that he funds, gave $1 million check to Antifa. And if Antifa is just an idea, who got the check? I don't like watching Martha Stewart. It's not about watching and not watching. She's not my cup of tea either. But the point is, they put her in jail. Yeah, Shift is coming as well. That's what I was just saying. You've got Bolton, who's going to get charged with treason. He's going to get charged with espionage. He's going to get charged with retaining and transmitting classified documents, including Defense Department documents about weapons of mass destruction. I don't know what that means. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Whoops, I don't want to put that one on the screen. Sorry about that. I wanted to remove it. Here is Latricia St. James as she responds.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost. The president's actions are a grave violation of our constitutional order and have drawn sharp criticism from members of both parties. His decision to fire a United States attorney who refused to bring charges against me and replace them with someone who is blindly loyal not to the law, but to the president, is antithetical to the bedrock principles of our country. This is the time for leaders on both sides of the aisle to speak out against this blatant perversion of our system of justice. I stand strongly behind my office's litigation against the Trump Organization. We conducted a 2-year investigation based on the facts and evidence, not politics. Judges have upheld the trial court's finding.
Now, there's a montage of her as she was running for attorney general. There's a montage of her at event after event saying, I'm going to get Trump. I'm going to sue Trump. I'm going to take his businesses away. I'm going to get Trump in every way possible. But it's not politics.
That Donald Trump, his company, and his two sons are liable for fraud. I'm a proud woman of faith, and I know that faith and fear cannot share the same space. And so today, I'm not fearful. I'm fearless. And as my faith teaches me, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. We will fight these baseless charges aggressively, and my office will continue to fiercely protect New Yorkers and their rights. And I will continue to do my job.
Working out for you, New York. You feel like your rights are protected? Her faith. You know, have you ever heard me talk about my faith other than when I say I put my faith in God? You see, it's very important to listen to what people say. It's very important to listen to these people when they start talking about their faith. Their faith in what? Their faith in whom? You see, there's a reason why when I pray, I start with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the one who was and is to come. The holy, holy, holy Lord God Almighty. There's a reason why I go through that, because I want to make it clear to everybody around the God to whom I'm speaking of. I am faith, and my religion teaches me this, or my religion teaches me that. I have faith. Faith in what? Will she proclaim the name of Jesus Christ? Will she proclaim the name of God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? That's a specific God. There's other gods out there that you can have allegiance to. Does she have faith in Allah? Does she have faith in Buddha? Does she have faith in the 11,000 million Hindu gods? Bethelmeth or Baal? What do you have faith in? Because when you hear these people talk, especially like the Hollywood actors and all this kind of stuff, and the songwriters and all this stuff, they start talking about their faith. Notice they never say in what. And usually when they start talking about Christendom, they use it as either a hammer. Yeah, if people say the Creator, it makes me question. You got to be very, 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 Faith says, love like Jesus. Define love God's way. Jacob I loved, but Esau I hated. You got to define the words you're using, because sometimes it don't mean the same thing as what people think it means. Jacob he loved so much that he put him in 400 years of bondage. Think about that. Well, Yuval Noah Harari says we will no longer worship the clouds. We will no longer worship the creator of the clouds. We will worship the clouds we create ourselves. Think about that. Think about that. So you got to define the love of Jesus, because if you go into the Methodist church with all the rainbows and stuff, they'll say that the love of Jesus is any kind of love, and that And that as long as two people love each other, it's okay. If a girl and a girl love each other, it's okay. If a boy and a boy love each other, it's okay. If a girl and a boy love each other, it's okay. If a little boy loves, if a grown man's in love with a little boy, it's okay. You got to define love. You see, Jesus so loved the world, or God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten son to die on the cross. I'll only say that because people get themselves caught up in some of that stuff and they don't truly understand the definition as defined by God. That's an important distinction that you have to pay attention to. Jacob he loved, Esau he hated. This is Kash Patel's response. It says down here, New York down at the bottom, New York AG James, it says, when powerful people cheat, talking about Donald Trump, to get better loans, it comes at the expense of hardworking people. Let me read that again slowly. Loretta St. James, AG of New York, a couple years ago, when bringing charges against Donald Trump, says, when powerful people cheat to get better loans, it comes at the expense of hardworking people. Everyday Americans cannot lie to the bank to get a mortgage. And if they did, our government would throw the book at them. There simply cannot be different rules for different people. And then the storm has arrived, says, I see what you did there. An FBI director said, there simply cannot be and will not be different rules for different people. One system of law and order from this FBI. I don't have a Mike Lee's response. If I find it, I'll play it, but I don't have one queued up right now. So here's what I was talking about. Caroline Levant says that Antifa leaders flee America as Trump cracks down on domestic terrorist networks. But how can there be Antifa leaders if it's just a thought? It's like MAGA, you know. It's just a thought. It's just an idea whose time has come. There's no leaders. Turns out there's leaders and they're fleeing. You know, and yesterday this was announced that $100 million in taxpayer funds laundered dim donations went to Antifa-linked organizations' protest networks. Here are some of the funders. Soros Open Society, Arabella Advisors, Tides Network. Go watch Glenn Beck. He talks about Tides. Hans John Wise. I don't know. Nashville Roy Shingham with ties to Armed Queers SLC, who is being investigated for the assassination of Charlie Kirk. By the way, that's another one. Pay attention to what people are saying, what Candace saying, what Tucker's saying, what the rest of them are saying. Brad Barton's going to have a big thing on Monday about it. Go watch it. Pay attention to what he's saying and see if you don't see what I'm saying right here. They're going to say the government narrative is wrong. The government narrative says there was just the one shooter and he jumped off the roof and he took the gun apart and he did all this stuff. They'll sit there and say this when that's not the government narrative. The FBI has come out and said they're investigating this Queers SLC in this, that there was some funding, some training, and some organization behind this kid. They also say that he didn't take the gun, that he assembled the gun, because he was up on that roof for an hour or two. He assembled the gun because he stuck it in his backpack. But when he fled, he wrapped the gun in a towel. He didn't disassemble it. All the Patriot mythology people are saying he disassembled the gun. How did he do that? There's no logical way it can't be done. I've talked to a gun expert. That gun expert told me that, unnamed, that can't happen because that's not what happened. And if you go watch the video and you watch when he gets to the roof, he drops something and then jumps down. And then he bends down and picks it up. His backpack is on his back. You can see it. I think Kirk, I don't think Kirk was talking about the Jews wanted him dead anyways. I think they're construing that. But I think that you're seeing they're posting snippets. They're posting short clips. We need the rest of the story. Show me the rest of the conversation. No, I think Charlie Kirk was told by God. I think Charlie Kirk, maybe not like God says, you're going to die at 10 o'clock in the morning when they shoot you in the neck. I don't think that's the case. I think because I've seen it before, it's in the Bible even. God says, prepare yourself. Your time is short. Get ready. And I think that's why he had everything set up for his family. He had everything set up for Turning Point USA so it can all continue. He was prepared. You see, the difference between what I believe and what the Patriot mythology pushers believe, by the way, Candace Owens is not a Christian. I said it. She may be a Catholic, but she is not a Christian. I could prove that with her own words. Yes, Turning Point is doing an alternate Super Bowl, and the lefties are all mad about it. You can't do that. Yeah, you can. You can do whatever you want. Mike's God's voice is not that deep. It is in the movies. No, I don't think it's that. I think that he just had inspiration from God. I think God let him know. Get ready. God has let me know, get ready. Something is coming. I have something more for you. Get ready. Prepare for it. And this is how I want you to prepare for it. This is what he told me. Told me, sell all your businesses, sell all your rental property, get ready. In other words, don't be tied down. Stop playing drums at the church. Stop doing the sound at the church. Pull back from all of that and get ready. Don't be tied down. Y'all are going to be shocked about Bibi Netanyahu. Mark my word. You're going to be so shocked that it's probably going to change your entire worldview on who God is. Listen to what I'm saying to you. You're going to be shocked about Bibi Netanyahu and what comes next.
The problem with
shocked. Governor J.D. Pritzker, Pete Hegseth, was busy ignoring his job and doing push-ups as part of a show for the Guinness Book of World Records, while Illinoisians are being invaded by Trump's military troops. To which Pete Hegseth says, Governor, you might try a push-up or two. In the meantime, our troops will do the job you refuse to do. Our troops are in Chicago, they're in Oregon, and they're in Washington, and they're going to be in a few other places guarding federal property, which, by the way, they can do. They're not participating in the ICE raids. ICE is doing that. They're guarding the property. And Governor Pritzker, it's not Pete Hegseth's job to take care of Illinoisians. It's yours. What are you doing? What are you doing? Going around grandstanding. That's what you're doing. Oh, while we're doing this, well, let me do this one first. I said Candace Owens is not a Christian. You know, you can take little snippets. Somebody says, I miss the old Candace that had a light in her eyes and a fire in her belly. She says, this is Candace's response. The fire is there. Light is recognizing the scam and lie that Judeo-Christianity, sorry. Which of these do you disagree with? Sanctity of life, rule of law, moral absolutes, personal responsibility, respect for human dignity? Let me make something clear. You know why she doesn't like the scam of Judeo-Christianity? You want to know why she doesn't like it? The term Judeo-Christianity doesn't apply to religion. It applies to the Western form of governance and the Western form of civilization, because it's heavily influenced by Judeo, the Jews, and Christians, because the Bible says, live your life this way, whether you're a Jew or a Christian, in principle. In principle. She has rejected God, and she's rejected the entire history of Western civilization. Everything that is our Constitution, that is our founding documents, and our founding principles are based upon that. That's not true. That's not true. They were all atheists. Our entire form of decentralized government, separate states, separate but equal powers, is based upon the book of Judges. But she calls it a scam because it says Judea, it's Jews, and Jews are all scam artists. She's not a Christian. A Christian would never make that statement. A Christian would understand that Jesus Christ was a Jew. The disciples were Jews. The first Christian churches were Jews. She's not a Christian. Because a Christian would not make that statement. A Christian would not deny what God has done over the last 2,000 years. Sorry. If you're a Candace Owens fan. Now, what do? You pray for her. You pray that God reveals to her his presence throughout history. You pray that she develops a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, that she might be saved. Because without that personal relationship, none of us are saved. None of us can be called Christians. Yeah. Ella says Charlie Kirk knew that his time on this side of heaven was numbered short, and to get his house affairs in order, God told Charlie a year earlier, when Charlie walked out on stage and said, "You didn't finish your sentence." You're probably still typing it. It's true. I believe that because I know how God works, because I have a relationship. I talk to him. I ask him questions. Sometimes he answers me, sometimes he doesn't. Like, what's going on with Candace? What's going on with Tucker? Well, Tucker's not a Christian either. He was called to live Isaiah 6:8, here I am, send me. Yeah. All the Jew haters, where are they right now? Have you heard from them? Anyways, breaking, U.S. troops head to Israel to support a historic peace deal. This is the story breaking. And all of them go, oh my God, we're sending in the troops. Oh my gosh, we're sending in the troops. What are we going to do? Yeah, I know you just said it, Ella. I was reading it. Caroline Levent says, this is not true and taken out of context. To be clear, up to 200 U.S. personnel are already stationed at CENTCOM and would be tasked in monitoring the peace agreement in Israel, and they will work with other international forces on the ground. So there's other international forces on the ground. The 200 personnel are at CENTCOM. They're not in Israel. By the way, where is Central Command at? Anybody know where Central Command is? Where's it at? Where's CENTCOM, which is responsible for the area, Israel, the Middle East, Iran, Iraq, Yemen, all that area. You got European Command, you have Central Command, you have Asian Command. Where is Central or CENTCOM Command? Marines got it right. CENTCOM is in Florida. So 200 U.S. personnel are stationed at CENTCOM in Florida. They're not going to be in Israel. It's taken out of context. They're just assigning those people that job, electronically monitoring. You know, we have that power. No other nation on the earth can do that, by the way, what we do, where we can control, command and control from Florida what's going on halfway around the world. Even Aaron, a Canadian, knows, says it's in Tampa, Florida. We're jumping around today. I just feel like jumping around. Here's Barack Hussein Obama's response to the peace that has broken out in the Middle East. After 2 years of unimaginable loss and suffering, that by the way started under your third term, Barack Obama. If I could just hide in the basement and have like a microphone and like speak through the next president, that's what I would like. After 2 years of unimaginable loss and suffering for Israeli families and for the people of Gaza, we should all be encouraged and relieved that the end of the conflict is within sight, that the hostages still being held will be returned to their families, and the vital aid can start reaching those inside Gaza whose lives have been shattered. I bet you the aid doesn't get there as long as Hamas is still in control. More than that, though, USAID will probably get some funding. It now falls on Israel's and Palestinians, with the support of the U.S. and the entire world community, to begin the hard task of rebuilding Gaza. Actually, Donald Trump doesn't think it's hard at all. Donald Trump thinks, yeah, snap, crackle, pop, we can put this right back together, no problem. Because he's a builder, not a politician. And to commit to the process that, by recognizing the common humanity and basic rights of both people, can achieve lasting peace. As if he did it. Doesn't even acknowledge Donald Trump. Oh, I forgot the sweatpants. Sitting. I don't even want to think about Barack Hussein Obama's sweatpants. I'm sorry. Oh, Lord have mercy. Here is MSNBC as they try to wrap their heads around Letitia St. James.
Allison and Michael Steele. Tonight, our hour is focused on the indictment of New York Attorney General Letitia James. In just a moment, we're going to be joined by the MSNBC reporter who's broken critical parts of this story. James' indictment comes just weeks after Donald Trump publicly pressured his Justice Department to take action against Letitia James, James Comey, and other perceived enemies. This is retribution, plain and simple. Remember, James secured a successful civil fraud verdict against Trump's business in New York just last year. On Monday, MSNBC reported that a top prosecutor in the Eastern District of Virginia told coworkers she found no probable cause in James's case. The prosecutor planned to present her conclusion to Trump's hand-picked interim U.S. attorney, Lindsay Halligan. But today, Halligan, who has been that office's top prosecutor for just over 2 weeks, presented evidence to a grand jury anyway. She was the sole signer on the James indictment. As you'll recall, Halligan was also the sole signer on the Comey indictment. Letitia James said this tonight in response.
This is not.
All right, doesn't show the response. Already played the response. Yeah, they don't talk about the charges. They didn't mention the charges. It's just she was only at the job 2 weeks, and then she presented to a grand jury, and she's the sole signer. She presented it to a grand. You see, this is the way our system works. A grand jury looked at it and said, "Yep, there's mortgage fraud there." Yeah, I say her name wrong on purpose. She actually goes by Latricia. It's like her nickname. But I digress. It doesn't matter. If you're not new to the Patriot Mike show, if you're new to the Patriot Mike show, first of all, I butchers people's names. It's just part of it's not. That's not a shtick. That is reality. But because I butcher people's name, I give all kinds of people nicknames and mess up their names on purpose. Like Zoltron up there in New York City. It's fun. Make their names. Like Padilla rhymes with armadillo. Yeah, you gotta have fun. Oh, yes. Mike says something here, though. Mike Staggs says that if Obama is proven to be Kenyan, does his presidency stand and does he have protection? Well, the problem is the Constitution doesn't have anything in there about that. So this would be a constitutional crisis. It's not a bug, it's a feature. It's a constitutional crisis. There would be some serious Supreme Court action that would have to take place there about how you handled that situation. Because basically his entire election would be a fraud and unconstitutional. So do you undo everything that was done? Mike's saying, watch for it. Let me ask you, Mike, is this opinion or is this inspiration that you're coming up with this? Now, let me explain to you. Those of you who don't know who Mike Staggs is. Mike Staggs is a friend of the show. He's been a friend of the show from almost the beginning. I've had personal conversations with Mike. We've talked about many, many things. Mike is basically, there's no such thing as prophets, bruh. Well, you can wait till you hear Mike's story one of these days. We'll get Mike in to tell his story one of these days. Because I don't want to steal his thunder, but he got sick and he stood before God. And God gave him a bunch of stuff. And now God speaks to him and is using him in a mighty way. And so when he says, like he just says right there, inspired, these are things that God is telling him. And he's learned, by the way, Mike has learned how to use this gift or how to along with myself, by the way. Some of this he got from me, I think, and that is, don't try to interpret what God is telling you. Don't try to figure out what it means. Just say it, just watch for it, just believe it. Because sometimes what you think he's telling you or what he think he's showing you isn't all it. So when Mike is on here and he says things like that, just write that down and pay attention to it. Sometimes when I'm sitting here going off and mentioning things and I say, write that down, some of that is inspired by Mike. God confirms it usually with me. That's why I ask these questions of him. Is that your opinion? Because sometimes it's his opinion based upon what God's telling him, and sometimes it's more than opinion. So I got another story that I haven't touched on yet. Wait till we get to the Dominion story. Oh, that's going to be a good one. Yeah, so here is talking about Gaza, the Gazanians, the peace breaking out. This is such a great point right here. Such a great point.
Is it just me, or like, where are all the pro-Palestine people when Trump just made this announcement and there's officially a deal being made? Like, everyone that I know is celebrating the fact that the hostages are coming home and that Israel is stepping back. So where are all of the people who were protesting and celebrating? If this was not an anti-Jewish thing, why are you not all screaming from the rooftops? I'm a little confused, because I literally can't get rid of the amount of pro-Palestine on my For You page. So I was very excited to see all of the pro-Palestine content that would be celebrating the announcement. I'm a little confused. If it's not about Jews and it's about Gaza and this deal was made that Israel will be pulling away, where's the celebration? Because in my eyes, you should be celebrating more than you celebrated on October 7th, right? Or are we not really wanting peace?
The woman with beautiful eyes. I've never said anything about who the woman with beautiful eyes is. I have said, watch and see. As far as Charlie Kirk being the woman with beautiful eyes, the first part of that prophecy is being fulfilled. Because the first part of the prophecy is they'll hate her. And a lot of people are hating on her right now. So I don't know if she's it or not. But we shall see. Because in order for that to be her, the second part has to happen too. She has to pour out that oil of peace and love on the nation and unite the nation. It's possible. It's possible. So where are the protesters? Free, free Palestine. From the river to the sea, Palestine must be free. They're not, what happened to them? How come they're not out celebrating? You know, let me show you something. Why do you side with Israel? Yeah. Let me show you. Where's that post at? I know I just seen it. Oh, right here. Here's why. Let me show you something. What do Palestinians say? Death to America. Burn the flag. Death to Donald Trump. Death to Barack Obama. Death to Joe Biden. Death to all the infidels. What do the Jews say on a day like today?
Why are you carrying an American flag?
To thank President Trump who forced the Hamas and the Israeli government to sign for ending that war and bringing up all the kidnapped.
What does it feel like today?
Very big emotion. I cannot do anything at home. So I put my shirt and came to so I was asking myself which flag I will take. So I took the American flag to thank from the bit of my heart to President Trump and to American people.
Brothers and sisters coming home. Thank God to Trump. Please thank God, America. We love you, Trump. Love you very much.
How do you feel today?
Happy is not the word, you know, beyond happiness, everything. I feel happy for all of us.
Israel shipped Greta to Greece, so she's not around. Just remember the difference. And by the way, my faith is in God. My faith is in God is in control on all subjects. It's right there. It's right there on my principles. Rule number 1, God is in control. And Tarred and Feathers is talking about midgets and stuff. I don't know, man. You got some issues you probably ought to work out. I'm just saying. So we saw this one lady asking, where are they? Well, here they are.
Reports are coming out that Donald Trump has said that there is a ceasefire in progress right now. And I thought I'd be really excited about it, but I realized I don't know what I'm going to do with myself if there's a ceasefire. Am I supposed to get a job now? Or, I mean, I need this. Are we not going to protest anymore? Maybe it's not too late to see if we can. What am I saying?
You didn't tell me when I was supposed to cut you off.
Oh, okay. What was it? What was?
Oh. So what are we supposed to do now? How are we going to protest? Oh my gosh, the grift has ended. By the way, a lot of those protesters get paid from the Soroses and the others. Like, for example, this guy.
To be clear, Trump had absolutely nothing to do with this peace deal between Israel and Hamas. He's just trying to get credit for it because it's Trump. He wants to get credit for everything. And just if we find out that it was Trump actually pushing for peace, which is impossible, but 1% chance, if it is him, we should protest it and ask for the war to continue. I want a free Palestine, but I don't want it if Trump is the one making it free.
I want a free Palestine, but I don't want it if Trump did it. See, because that's another thing that all these anti-Jew people, the Tuckers, the Candaces, the on whatever his name is, the multitudes of others, they were all never Trumpers from the beginning. They jumped on the Trump train when it got them clicks and popularity and made them grift a lot harder. But they were all of them. I don't think that's the guy that made the spoof. I think that's a different guy. Could be. His point still remains. His point still remains. And, you know, I tell you what they could do. Hey, Mike, that sounds kind of like if Trump came out with the shot, they weren't taking it. That's right. That's a true point. You know, when Trump first came out and said that the shot was coming back in 2020, they were all saying they're never going to take the Trump shot. And then when they declared Joe Biden president, and 2 days later, they announced that they had the shot, and then Joe Biden lined up, got the shot. It became the Joe Biden shot. Everybody went out and got the shot. And we were all like, when Donald Trump came out and said the shot's coming, we were all like, I ain't taking no shot. I ain't taking no shot. And then when they came out with the shot and said it was the Joe Biden shot because now they have the shot and Joe Biden got the shot so everybody could get the shot, we were like, I ain't taking no shot. And we've been still, I ain't taking no shot. We're still that way. And now we're finding out that some of the biggest, loudest mouths that got 9, 10, 15, 20 shots are coming down. There's a guy, a friend of mine was telling me a guy that was a major proponent of all of that here in central Missouri, who had a job in the medical industry, who has had every booster you could get, just had a massive heart attack. He's my age. Weird. Of course, it could be unrelated. The thing is, all of these, you know, free Palestine, all these Gazanians protesting, and all the Gazanian lovers protesting, and all the anti-Jewers protesting, they never, ever, ever. See, now maybe they could switch. They're all about genocide. Maybe they can look into some of the other genocides that are going on in the world.
The world wants to cry genocide and produce a fake Tucker Carlson narrative of a genocide over in Israel and Gaza that's not happening. But did you know there is a genocide happening to our brothers and sisters in northern Nigeria, as 500,000 believers have died for their faith in the last few years, and no politicians are screaming about that? Well, where's all the free Nigeria shirts? Where are the Christians in northern Nigeria flags floating around at the protests? There's real persecution, and it's not in America, but it's coming to America, because all that live godly in Christ Jesus shall suffer persecution. You say, well, I just don't want to suffer persecution. Then keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut. You see, if you are never persecuted for your faith, I doubt the reality of you having very much of it.
Well, that's a good point, though. What? You're all upset about genocide. Donald Trump and the Jews are killing all the babies with Bibi Netanyahu. What about the rest of the Christians on the planet that are being slaughtered? Oh, yeah, well, you know, we slaughter the Jews and we slaughter the Christians. It's okay, but don't kill them Muslims. No, can't do that. Can't do that. By the way, AOC, she had a meltdown because she went to her favorite fast food restaurant and found out that that they now have ice agents at the soda fountain, pressed for ice. Oh, she was upset about it. Big fit. Anyways. Yeah, it's good.
I think BB is completely evil and completely destructive, and he's hurting the United States, and he's destroying his own country, and I think he imperils the world. Okay, so I think that clearly they're going to try and blow up Al-Aqsa Mosque. I believe that, on the Temple Mount to build a third temple, and then you've got global war. So, like, he's a threat. But am I madder at him or Lindsey Graham? It's not even close.
I was going to mention.
Bibi Netanyahu is a foreigner, and he's trying to do what he thinks he should do for himself and his country. I get that. What's Lindsey Graham's excuse? What's Ted Cruz's excuse? Ted Cruz says right into the camera, I was elected. My main goal was to help Israel.
I came into Congress with the stated intention of being the leading defender of Israel in the United States Senate.
Right.
And I've worked every day to do that.
Really?
Ted
How
Cruz
could you
was
get elected on a platform in which you say publicly, my main goal is to help another country? This is deranged. Where's our self-respect? I don't want to even think about it. I'm not interested. I'm very interested in how American leaders could betray their own country. That enrages me.
Enrages me. He thinks BB is evil. You're going to be shocked, Tucker. You're going to be shocked. You're going to probably say it's not real. It's fake. You're going to be shocked by what comes, by what happens to BB soon. I mean that. So Norm Eason, how do you say his name? Eason, I think. Norm Eason says, breaking, Loretta St. James held Trump accountable, and now he's hijacking the DOJ to indict her in retaliation. This isn't justice, it's abuse of power. To which Mike David says, Norm, you led the hunters. Now you're the hunted. Lawyer up, MFer. Justice is definitely coming.
This is what tyranny.
You know, this is Chucky Schumer. This is what tyranny looks like. Oh my gosh. Now, this is so rich. After what they did to Donald Trump, this is so rich.
This is what tyranny looks like. Donald Trump has turned the Justice Department into his personal attack dog to go after his political enemies. This is tyranny. This is outrageous. Every American should be horrified, absolutely horrified about what has happened.
That's right. Everybody's horrified. I bet you are horrified, Chuck. Bet you are. How's those back rooms in the Senate office chambers with Lindsey Graham and all that doing? Just, I mean, I bet you are horrified. I bet you there's a whole lot of horrifying going on. Speaking of horrified, Daniel Goldman, you know who that is? Daniel Goldman is the heir to the Levi Strauss fortune. He's a congressman or senator, I don't know. This is what he has to say. Mike Davis says, lawyer up. He goes, yet again, Trump is grossly abusing the criminal justice system by directing an unqualified political lackey to indict his adversaries. Let me point something out about this, by the way. I gotta make this clear. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Article 2, Section 2, right at the top. All power of the executive branch is vested in the President of the United States of America, whomever sits in that seat. Saying that Trump has directed the DOJ to go after his political adversaries, even if that was true, is 100,000,000,000% constitutional. When Joe Biden, and it's coming out, directed his people to go after Donald Trump, his direct political enemy, It was completely and totally constitutional because the DOJ is not an independent agency. The DOJ is under the executive branch, and the chief judicial officer, according to the Constitution, is the President of the United States of America. The chief law enforcement officer in the United States is the President of the United States of America. And if the DOJ is not under the executive, it is unconstitutional, because the Constitution says anything not enumerated herein is delegated to the states. It does not mention the DOJ. It does not mention it. Everybody say hi to Christine. Love you too, honey. It does not mention it at all. So therefore, it's not enumerated. Therefore, it cannot exist. They've gotten it to exist. They've gotten it to exist by putting all of these ABCs under the executive branch. So when Daniel Goldman says that Trump is grossly abusing the criminal justice system by directing an unqualified political lackey to indict his adversaries, first of all, the unqualified political lackey is a confirmed attorney general by the Senate. So it's got the job, and the president can absolutely tell the attorney general what to do. If the president can't, then the DOJ, the entire DOJ, is unconstitutional. That's called constitutional law. That's why the Supreme Court keeps ruling that every time one of these agencies sue the IRS, the USAID, the EPA, every time one of these agencies sue, well, the people in the agencies lose their job and they sue, and it goes to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court says, no, Donald Trump could do that, because Supreme Court's catch-22. They either rule that the president has the power because it's under the executive, or that agency is unconstitutional. That's their only choices. That's all the choices there are. Here's Adam Shifty Shift. It says, another dark day for democracy. Another vindictive prosecution of someone on the president's enemy list. I mean, come on, man. Adam Schiff read into the congressional letter a fake phone call made up by him to Zelensky. We know this because Donald Trump released the transcript of the phone call and the recording of the phone call prior to Adam Schiff reading this in to the record during the Russia scandal. Mike Davis says this in response. A federal grand jury in America indicted a corrupt politician for defrauding a bank. Another dark day for democracy. From a douchebag who politicized intel agencies and law enforcement against his political enemies. Let's just say it like it needs to be said, right? And I got one more story that I want to bring to you before we switch to something else, because I got to make sure this gets said, because this is a big deal. This is a big deal. I don't know if you all seen this, but everybody knows Dominion voting systems, right? Dominion is part of the reason and how they stole the elections in 2020, how they intend to steal the elections in 2018. Dominion has just been taken off the table. What do you mean by that? Breaking news. Dominion Voting Systems has been sold to Liberty Vote, a Missouri company led by former Republican official Scott Leinendecker. Dominion is a major supplier of voting equipment used in 27 states during the 2024 election. Liberty Vote intends to prioritize paper-based transparency, security, and simplicity in elections. Leinendecker has deep ties with the Republican Party, and Liberty Vote will review the possibility of replacing Dominion machines ahead of the midterms. Dominion previously faced false accusations from Trump and his allies regarding the 2020 election. I bet now that a Trump ally owns Dominion, we're going to find out how false that really was. The company has since settled multiple defamation lawsuits tied to those claims, including significant payments from Fox News and Newsmax. Oh, yes. And Aaron says he's been to, by the way, they rebranded the name, and the Dominion voting systems no longer exist. It's now Liberty Vote. That's the name of the company. So Aaron says that their headquarters was in Toronto there, and Aaron's been to it and stood outside of it and talked about it and whatnot. Well, that's crazy times we live in, isn't it? I can't wait to see what comes up. Maybe we'll find out how the algorithms work for these voting machines. If you go back to 2020, do you remember that the count was 1,425,262.4 for Joe Biden? How do you get a 0.4 of a vote? Because the algorithm would split the vote 60-40. 60 went for Joe and 40 went for Trump. 60 went for Joe. If the vote came in, it would split it. Oh, what an amazing time we're living in. What an amazing time we're living in. So we're going to shift gears a little bit. I've got on the line, hanging on in the background right now, my good friend Sam Anthony from yournews.com. Sam, how you doing?
Good to see you. How you been?
I'm good. I'm good.
So long, last week.
Well, yeah, because we were on the show with Charlie. Has it been only a week? I think it's been a little longer than that, hasn't it? Maybe. But anyways, doesn't matter. So what do you think about Dominion?
Well, first of all, you just saying that, I hadn't even heard this. I'm like, God, I got to start listening to Mike more often. So they sold the company?
Dominion sold the company to Liberty Vote, a Missouri-based company with a Republican official. It says Republican official. He left out. He was a voter. He was a vote official in charge of voting in Missouri and a couple other states for the GOP. So he was like involved in the actual counting of ballots.
So, Mike, you realize that Trump's trying to get rid of all voting machines and go straight back to paper ballots, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so what person in their right mind, what company would actually buy something that everybody's saying is false? The documentation, all the voting is corrupt. Who would buy it? So this has to be some kind of scam. It has to be.
It's not a scam.
Did they really buy it, or is it just a shell company being moved over?
No, they bought the company, lock, stock, and barrel.
Why would anybody do that?
The question isn't why would they buy it. The question is why would they sell it?
Well, if you're worried that there's going to be no more voting machines used in elections, how would you even get somebody to buy it? Because that, you would want to get rid of it.
Because you're not buying future election vote implementation. You're buying the algorithms, you're buying the records, you're buying the machines so you can take them apart and see how they work.
So you're telling me the people who bought it want to rip it apart, and are they conservatives?
Yes, it's the Republican. Yes, it's big time conservative, big time mega type guys. I'm curious on who funded the purchase.
Well, that's just it. Who did fund the purchase? Was it Elon Musk?
Doesn't say.
So you're speculating that you think this is a conservative group that's acquiring this company. And what did they say what they bought it for?
No, there's no dollar amount in the story though far. I've seen several different stories on it though. Fox News is reporting it. Newsmax is reporting it. New York Times, New York Post, everybody's talking about it. So it has happened, and there was no lead up to this. A lot of times when a big company's purchased, there's lead up to it. You know what I mean? There's conversation about companies merging or buying each other out and all this stuff. There's nothing.
This is going to be interesting, to see who actually bought it and for what reason. If somebody actually bought it and it wasn't just a shell game being moved. So now you can say, oh, we don't own it anymore. This conservative group owns it. Now you can continue to use it.
From what I understand, they bought everything and they changed the name.
So they're still going to want their product to be used just under a different name?
Well, they're saying that they're going to prioritize paper-based transparency.
I don't buy any of it. I
Well,
think I don't.
I think that it was purchased. I think that it was purchased so they can get a hold of those machines and the proprietary algorithms in the machines. I think that's why. I think that this. I'm reading a fictitious book right now, and it's amazing. I'm reading this book. It's about this really rich guy who deals in human trafficking and deals in basically Epstein, but under a different name and way more in the background. And one of the things that he did in this book I'm reading is he gets somebody, a wealthy man that owns a piece of property that he wants, and he gets them in a compromised position, and he takes his phone out and plays a video and says, I'm going to buy your villa in Italy, your $10 million villa. I'm going to offer you $1 million for it. I'm never selling it. And play that. Okay, I'll sell it. I'm just saying that maybe that this is pure speculation. Hold on. Pure speculation. I'm just saying that somebody came to Dominion and said, look, we got this on you. 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 Y'all want to, end up in a dark CIA site somewhere, or you want to just sell us this company? That's what I'm thinking.
It's certainly possible. I mean, but the sad part is we actually have to have conversations about this.
Yeah.
I mean, because all of it is done, for nefarious reasons. And we don't know, is somebody buying them for good reasons so they can just get rid of it? Or are the people selling it trying to get rid of the problem or just move the problem over somewhere else?
Well, this part time will tell.
Well, yes, I know, because the same ownership could be with the new company. It was all a guise. It could be just shooting money from this account to this account.
It's a possibility. However, you saw what happened with X, with Elon buying it. I think there's more afoot here. I think that this is, if this is this conservative group and this conservative Republican person who's out of Missouri. By the way, when I go to a what they call a pachyderm club meeting, a Republican meeting. This guy's from Missouri, and Brad Pollitt and one of the state level senators is speaking at it today. I'm going to ask them about this guy because I'm sure they know him. He's from Missouri, and so yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think, my opinion, I think that this was because it was so like that. There was no lead up to it or nothing. I think that this was a coup, and I think that a whole bunch of crooked politicians that have been, you got to understand, Dominion voting systems in their brochures says that they guarantee you a win as long as you paid enough.
I remember that. Well,
yeah,
that was in other countries. I don't know if it's so much in ours.
But you don't think that? Oh yeah.
Well, it all works the same. But
the whole bunch of corrupt politicians just crapped their pants. That's what just happened.
Let's just hope all this stuff actually comes out. So far, what do we got? We got Letitia James and we got Comey. Those are the only two so far.
Well, we got grand juries. Kelly, I can't think of her last name, but she reported yesterday the grand jury on Christopher Wray. We got grand juries on Adam Schiff. We got grand juries on Bolton. Bolton's going to be charged here shortly with treason and espionage because he got caught with classified documentation. Though, mind you, no one's allowed to possess classified documentations except for a president. A president can. The Supreme Court's ruled that, but nobody else. He was never a president. He was Secretary of State, but he was never president. He got caught with Defense Department weapons of mass destruction classified documents at his home that had been transmitted overseas.
Oh, he's dead in the water.
Yeah. So there's a grand jury on him. So a lot of these people, it's going to also talk to superseding, once they start charging these people, that they're going to come back with a seditious conspiracy on all of them.
Boy, you're going to hear people sing like you've never heard sing before.
Right. That's right.
You're 75 years old. You probably don't have more than 10 years left. You want to spend them all in a prison cell, or would you rather, take a 12-month plea and turn over everybody? So my guess is he's
Right.
going to sing.
Well,
yeah.
or maybe you're just going to resign from your political position, and you're just going to go away and have a nice vacation. We won't do nothing to you. You just disappear. You go off to some tropical island and never put your head up again to give us the information we're looking for. It could be something like that. You got to ask yourself a question on that subject. Ghislaine Maxwell, I don't know how to say her name, Ghislaine, whatever her name is. She went from a Supermax prison to Club Fed in Texas after she gave her testimony.
And so now she's got less of a sentence, or is it still the same sentence?
Still same sentence. She's just in Club Fed instead of a Supermax.
So
I'm just saying.
No. I get it. I mean, so she cut a deal. They cut a deal to get her out of that and get her into something a little more comfortable. I completely understand. So, all we got to do is just hope that you see these indictments. I mean, it's what I do notice about the Democrats is they can concoct a crime that didn't exist and have somebody arrested in under freaking 2 weeks. Okay. I mean, these people work at lightning speed. We actually have crimes and we're months into it.
Well, that's because I'll give you an example. My sister she is a crime scene investigator for a big city DA in California. And I don't want to say the city. So what she does when there's a crime, she goes in and documents and takes pictures and does all that stuff, collects the evidence, that kind of thing. I asked her, you have a major crime, major embezzlement, millions of dollars, or you have a murder or something. How long does it take to go to trial? How long does it take to go to trial and get a conviction? She says 2 to 5 years.
Well, right. But the arrest could be made right away. I mean, if you have the documentation. Now, I know there's a lot here because this has been going on for, decades. And all this money, I mean, everything that flowed through USAID, you heard Elon Musk say that 90% of the money does not leave DC, which means if you're given $2 billion to, teach monkeys how to be homosexual, only 10% of that actually goes to teach the monkeys. The rest of it stays here.
And
so
it never really gets to the monkeys. Wherever it is that the monkeys are being tested, they take it all.
It's all money laundering is all it is. And so, but it's legal money laundering because they could say we sent it to that person and we had no idea that they were just going to be so giving and decide to give it back to us. That's just generosity, right?
Yeah.
They just decided
generosity. Yeah, that's what we call it.
It's generosity. So, so how they're going to, how many years this is going to take to, to be able to peel back the onion. Because every time you peel it back, there's, oh my God, there's more. And you're following this money to wherever it goes.
On right now.
Well, God, I mean, you're talking about how many people are involved in this? Thousands? It's got to be
100, multiple hundreds. Hillary and Billary were supposed to testify yesterday before the House oversight on the Epstein stuff, James Comer's hearing. They were supposed to testify yesterday, but they couldn't make it, so they delayed that.
Here's my question: It's a crime to lie to Congress, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a crime for Congress to lie?
That's what they charged FBI Director Comey with.
Okay, if you're a congressman, is it legal to lie?
Yes.
Unbelievable. Okay, so we can lie to our teeth, but you have to tell us the truth, or we're going to put you in jail.
It is. Adam Schiff read into the congressional record during the Trump impeachment trial the phone call to Zelensky, and he completely made it up. It was a total fabrication. He read that into the congressional record, and it's not a crime. However, if you were testifying before him that that's what Donald Trump said, and it turned out it wasn't, it is a crime. Politicians can say any. That's a constant. By the way, that's in the Constitution. Politicians in the Constitution, not in an amendment, in the original part of the Constitution, they are protected. The speech and debate clause. They're protected by what they say as a politician, as a House member, and even the president. However, there is never been tested in Constitution when you say things not officially part of your job. So we'll see that. I think that's going to get tested here before too long.
I'd like to find out, because somebody needs to lock these people up. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, this whole thing with holding up DC and shutting down DC, and it's basically they're holding them hostage for $1.5 trillion so they could give it to illegal immigrants. I mean, the whole platform they ran on is we need to get rid of the illegals and we need to not get them out of our healthcare system. And now we want you to give them money, or we're not going to open the government.
Well,
So
the truth is on that too. Only 250 billion or so is going to the illegals. The rest of it's going to this fund and this group and that group. Yeah, it's $1.5 trillion, but only 250 billion of it is for to provide Medicaid to illegals. The rest of it's going everywhere else.
So the Democratic Party at the end of the day is nothing but one big money laundering scam. And they're
and the Republican Party too.
And I don't know, I mean, there might be some of them that do get benefits from that, but it
100%.
can't be like this. I mean, this is just blatant in your face. Give us this money or we're going to keep government shut down. So here's the question. If they never give them the money, are we just shut down into perpetuity?
Well, there's actually a political theory going around. I don't know if you heard this, but they're
I
going on the 15th. The military is not going to get paid, and that's going to cause a problem. Between now and then, I think, and Donald Trump's already said that they'll make it happen. That they're going to pass a bill, and it doesn't have to have 60 votes in the Senate, so 51 can vote for it. Donald Trump signs it. The military gets paid. And then they're gonna go after the socials, the welfare and all that stuff. Make sure that gets paid. Make sure all these essential stuff gets serviced and paid under separate bills. And then the only thing you have left is about 40% of the government they're keeping shut down. That's not essential. And Donald Trump's just going to go, okay, let it ride. Once you get everything paid for, who cares?
Well, now, does he have the ability to be able to let everybody go?
Well, and yes, that's another thing. In these agencies, right? They're suing, trying to keep them from firing. You can't fire these people over here. You can't fire these people over there. Under a government shutdown, they can fire everybody.
This is a dream come true for Trump.
Yeah. So if he gets the basic stuff covered, through legislation, and then fires everybody, and then goes back to Chuck Schumer and says, keep it shut down. I don't care.
Yeah, no kidding. Right. So everything's still operating like it. We don't even need them anymore. Thank you for your time.
To begin with.
Yeah, Trump could actually come out and say, we've decided to shut down government permanently other than these essentials. And thank you for your time. You guys could all go home. By the way, nobody's getting checks. I would love to hear that. I would love to hear that, because as far as I'm concerned, they're non-essentials. You realize the world's still working without them.
Well, yeah, they're just, I mean, the number one job hirer throughout the Obama administration was the U.S. government in the world. They were hiring people 50, 60, 70,000 a month and produce nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They need to cut the remaining portion of this government, and this should be the opportunity to be able to just take a freaking axe to it, right? A chainsaw.
Basically, what some of the thinkers that have been talking about this inside the Trump administration, advisors and stuff like that, are saying basically if they go through this process over the next few weeks, they can cut 40% of the government.
Man, that would be freaking phenomenal. And only 40%? What about the other 40?
Well,
I thought we needed to get rid of 80.
But the other 40, you're talking about Social Security, you're talking about Medicaid, you're talking about paying the military. That's, you got to understand, Social Security, Medicaid, and welfare is the entire budget of the government. The rest of it you borrow, including military.
So you're saying that those three are 40%.
I'm saying those three are 100% of the budget.
Not
of the budget, of the income.
But if you got rid of everything else, this is the only thing that's needed, and the size of the government will be 40% of what it used to be.
Be 40% less. 40%.
Be 40. Less. So it's 60%. The government needs to shrink 40%.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the government can shrink under this, what we're talking about.
Okay. I'm on board with that.
Yeah. That's, I mean, that basically it's all the money we've been borrowing. Because if you do the math, we take in about $4.5 trillion a year. And last year they did $7.5 trillion in spending. You know, just imagine if you ran your business like that, yournews.com.
Just blows me away.
So by the end, if you did that by Christmas, you'd be looking for a job.
By next month, I'd be looking for a job. No, before Thanksgiving. Yeah.
You don't have a printer.
Or $1 billion. So yeah, that's freaking nuts. I mean, I always know that they're overspending, and that's the purpose of bringing Trump in, is to get some kind of sanity going on. But
the overspending's by design. The Constitution mandates by October 1st every year that the House presents a budget. Spending bills originate in the House. If the House presents a budget, then the Senate votes on it, President signs it, whatever, it goes through the process. By the 1st of December, you're supposed to have that. That's why the government shut down, because the 1st of December came. The problem is they haven't had a budget since the Bush administration, since about 2004. They've been going off of continuing resolutions. A continuing resolution is continuing that 2004 budget plus however much more they want to spend. So there's zero budget. It's just, we're going to spend more, and they continue that budget. That's what a continuing resolution is.
So Mike, if everything plays out the way you're talking about, and he can get the other departments that are essential operating, and then basically axe the other ones, hell, the Republicans can vote to keep the government shut down. Yeah, we're good. Thank you.
Yeah, we're fine. We're good. We don't need it.
Yeah, we're on D. We're operating fine. You guys could go home. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. It could, and of course they'll be throwing an absolute tizzy fit. They would think, oh man, they'll be playing. MSNBC will be having people on from the government agency of inspecting toad frogs. A guy makes $175,000 a year. They'll have him on over and over. They just line up. I lost my job because the government shut down. Donald Trump took my job away from me. Now I don't know what to do. I've got 12 adopted children that I got from the border last year, and I don't know what to do with it because I can't feed them anymore. That's what's going to happen. It's going to have all these sad songs of these bureaucrats that lost their jobs. But right now, the Democrats are using the military one. The military is not going to get paid on the 15th because the military gets paid on the 1st and 15th. They're not going to get paid, and it's Donald Trump's fault. Now the Republicans get together with Donald Trump and pass that bill. Bam, they get paid. Now that's taken off the table. What's the next one? The next one is the air traffic controllers. Air traffic controllers across the country are calling in sick, so they're not going on strike, but they're a work strike, but they're calling in sick. Well, Donald Trump can do Ronald Reagan. Y'all fired. Put new ones in. There you go. So he could fix this. One step at a time, and a whole thing just blows up in their face.
Yeah, I see this being a massive disaster for them, because now they're going to have so many people that whole thing is going to be gutted. And the funny part is it benefits everybody, all Americans, but for them, this is just a disaster. Everything they seem to do just never seems to work. So, look, and here's the other side of that coin. I was talking to Charlie the other day. He was very upset about the mainstream media, and they're still pushing the narrative. I'm like, Charlie, nobody's listening. Nobody. Nobody. So he's like, what do you mean? And I said, well, while on the show, I said, let me pull up the number. So if you look up how many daily viewers does mainstream media have, it's worse than I thought. It's 2.5 million a day.
For all of them.
Okay, so you're as old as me. You remember when mainstream media used to have like a 50% penetration in the 90s and in the 80s? At least, everybody tuned into some station at some point in time every freaking week. They're down to less than 1%. This is not a joke. Anybody can look this up. And then I told you the age demographic 25 to 54, that for the first quarter, less than 500,000 people viewed over 3 months. Megyn Kelly just reported it last month, about 4 weeks ago. I'm like, where the hell were you 3 months ago? So all that stuff is going to be gone soon. And you are the next. This is why I like listening to you, because you break it down so easy. You're doing all the damn work, so we don't have to do it, right? I'm focused on other things. So you're actually, I know stuff I shouldn't even know. I can tell you that they're buying school buses in Shreveport, Louisiana. Why I know that is just because the stuff comes through my site. But to me, most of this information is worthless, but the stuff you're talking about right now, this is great stuff. So let's just hope that they can fix this problem. I would imagine you're going to have some kind of legal coming in. By the way, did you ever notice the experts that they bring on never are right about anything? Oh my God,
Well,
the tariffs are going to cause inflation.
Yeah. They're never right. It's kind of like Abraham Lincoln. He had an economist, and he asked the economist, what's the economy going to do in the next year? And he says, well, if it goes this way, then the economy is going to be doing pretty good. And so he says, so we can count on the economy doing pretty good. And the economist says, well, on the other hand, if such and such happens, it could be bad. And Abraham Lincoln says, what we need around here is a good one-handed economist.
Yeah, right. None of these people are ever right on anything. And I think they bring in people that they know are going to be wrong simply to push a narrative and an agenda. I mean, what did you learn?
They're creating the news, not reporting the news.
Exactly. Well, somebody asked somebody's opinion. When you were in school, what caused inflation? Remember that statement, too many dollars taking too few goods?
Yeah.
Explain to me how tariffs are printing money, because that's basically printing money. Tariffs don't print money. They're just taking a vig. It's like the mob.
Yeah, well, and tariffs are collecting value. And by the way, what was it? WIC, the WIC program. Donald Trump restored the WIC program, got shut down by the shutdown. Donald Trump restored the WIC program with income from the tariffs.
I don't even know what the WIC program is. What the hell is that?
That's the women, infants, and children. It's a welfare program. It's not food stamps. Food stamps, you can go buy anything you want. WIC gives you these little vouchers. I think it's all done electronically now, but back when I was in the military and my babies were babies, they're all 30-something now. But you get this little certificate that says you get 2 gallons of milk, 2 cans of peanut butter, 2 cartons of eggs, baby formula, that kind of thing. And so you could go grab that stuff at Walmart or wherever and put your voucher down and get it from the government, basically. So the WIC program, actually, as far as welfare goes, and it makes more sense to me than food stamps, because you can't go out and buy Flamin' Young. You got to get a gallon of milk, some peanut butter, and some eggs, right? So I don't have a problem with that as much.
Food stamps is a dollar amount. Yeah.
Food stamps is, you get a card and you can go buy as much as you want of anything.
If you have a $300 credit, you could buy all
what
states.
they're giving people on food stamps right now?
What?
With a couple of kids? Like $5,000 a month.
Are you sure? That's an awful lot of money.
I'm positive. Yes.
A couple of kids.
People on welfare. So a mom's got 4 kids. She's separate, 4 kids from 4 different daddies, right? She's living in the projects in government housing, right? She gets WIC, she gets food stamps, and she gets welfare. So welfare is $2,500 a month cash. Food stamps is $3,000, and then WIC doesn't have a value added to it, but it gives you all your basic necessities. And
it could be a couple $100, right?
Or more. Yeah, the way prices are today.
Yeah.
So and then they live. Debbie's saying $300 per person. They live in government housing, which they don't pay rent for. The only thing they have to pay for is utilities, and a lot of times they can get that subsidized. And this would have been, I'm going to talk about my ex-wife. This would have been 96, 97 when my kids were still little. My ex-wife would complain because she would be out of food by the 15th of the month. No food left. And she was getting $700 a month from me, $1,000 a month for one of her other kids from another husband that was after me. So that's $1,700 a month. She was getting $1,500. This was in 96, $1,500 a month in food stamps. She was living in government project building. So that was pretty much paid for. And I don't know if she was getting, I don't think they did cash stipends at the time, but I added it up and it was like $4,300 total.
And this is 30 years ago.
30 years ago, tax-free. And I said to her one time, she was complaining about it. I said, do you realize for someone to make $4,300, they have to make $8,000 a month because the taxes that come out to have $4,300 net, they have to make $8,000. That's your salary. And you ain't got food left on the 15th. You're doing it wrong. That, like I said, that was in the 96, 97, 98, somewhere there.
Yeah. Well, she didn't earn it, so there's no value to it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know,
that's standard operating procedure.
Just remember, always everybody wants more and more and more, right? So this is where these politicians, they figured out, I like my lifestyle, my house on the beach, my $170,000 a year salary doesn't afford that, so they need more. So we just need to figure out a way to legally steal from the rest of Americans.
And the way they do that is they steal votes by giving all this. The Republicans want to throw grandma off the cliff and starve children by getting rid of WIC. There you go.
And all
my
of a
son in
sudden,
the Philippines lives well on $1,000 a month. The average annual income is $8,000 in the Philippines. Yeah, I've got a buddy who sells jewelry who says in 2 more years, he's married to a Filipino lady. In 2 more years, he's going to sell everything in the States and go live in the Philippines like a king. That's what he said.
The cost of living is low, huh?
Yeah. Oh, extremely low. And it's a tropical paradise. So, so anyways, we're almost out of time. How is it doing? Many people that watch my show had bought some of your offerings when it came to your news. How's your news doing? What's the latest news on your news?
Latest news is we've got now just under 5,300 news reporters, content creators. We're expanding and growing. You know, the legacy media, it's like, you know, I've had 2 calls in the last week from friends of mine, and both of them said the whole world's coming your way, right? I mean, they have nowhere to go. So we're onboarding content creators daily. We probably are bringing in around 2,500 articles a week and growing. Think about that, right? That's 10,000 news stories a month coming in the door. And so, you know, the expansion, it's huge. It's like I'm becoming AP. So there's roughly 700,000 people on LinkedIn that call themselves freelancers. And, you know, I spend a small amount of money marketing to them. But I think, did I tell you what the value of a content creator is? Did I tell you?
I think tell me again.
Yeah. So anybody could have a Facebook page or an X page or a True Social page. So the way digital properties are valued is based on their user base. So, you know, if I gave you X's platform without their 600 billion users, it's worthless to you. You won't be able to make a nickel off of it, nor will you be able to sell it to anybody. It's the user base that has the value. And so if you take the market cap of a company and divide the user base, that's what the market deems as a value. The X is easy because, you know, we paid 46 billion for it. And you know there's 600 million users on it monthly. So if you divide 600 million into the 46 billion, I think the number is about 78 or $6 a person. So all those platforms have a value of under $100, but it's not representative of what I do. It's our platform has strictly news reporters, and nobody does what we do. So news is audio, video, or print. And the reason I'm saying that is because everybody watches news like we're watching this. Somebody could do audio like radio or podcasts, and then you got written content. So the value of everybody on Rumble, which would be more of what we are, is you take the market cap of roughly 3 billion and divide the 250,000 content creators into it, and it's $12,000 per user. Same with YouTube. YouTube has a value of 200 or 550 billion, and they've got around 51 million channels. So it's about 11,000 per content creator. So we have over 5,000, which means now we know a value of the digital property. So the digital property has a value of roughly 50 or 60 million, depending on the market conditions. And the game plan is to get that up to 50,000 over the next 24 months, which means you'll have a $500 or $600 million value and then take it public. We're already moving forward with this. So, you know, we're doing this capital raise, which is the $1 million raise or $1.2 million, followed up by a $5 million, but that one will be at about $100 million valuation. So we're still raising capital, looking for more expansion capital, because it's, you know, people always ask me, what do you need capital for? It's the same reason that, you know, Netflix and Amazon and eBay all needed expansion capitals, because for me, Mike, to bring on another 5,000 content creators and go to 5,000 news reporters, there's cost involved with that, right? Because it's growth capital. You're expanding, and the need for people becomes greater, right? Your tech is going to be stressed a lot more. So this is why we're bringing in capital. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what we do will replace the legacy media. It's all going the way of the dinosaur. So what it'll look like is the same thing that Rumble or YouTube has. It's all independent news reporting, but news reporting could be somebody doing a city council meeting in one city, or the school board meeting, or the high school football game. So everybody will be independent news reporters, just like on Rumble or on YouTube. It's up to you to build your brand, and they're going to leverage platforms for distribution and monetization. And that's where we come in, because our niche is the local news, and we do local news all over the United States. So kind of exciting. It's already in motion, and now I want to scale this up as fast as possible, and then get this to the point where the public can actually own it.
And that's awesome. So you're getting ready to do it again, what, beginning of the year or something like that, as far as your offering?
Well, this offering is, we've raised just under 400 grand at this one, but it's a small one of 1.2 million. The next one's going to be a little bigger. It'll be a 5 million, but the value is going to jump 5 times. So once you've taken a digital property like ours, the void we fill, if you could relate this to Rumble, when YouTube kicked everybody off, you included, did you sit there and go, holy crap, what am I going to do now? Right. Well, Rumble filled that void.
Right.
Yeah. And somebody's asking the stock price. It's $2. The next 80 grand, there's a 25% bonus shares, which you'll see. So it's really like you're spending $1.60, but after that, it stops. I'd like to have that completed here by the end of the year, which I'm working on some pretty big deals that I think I'm going to be able to pull off. And then we're going to,
how does one be a part of that? If they want to get into this,
show them,
because you're not on the stock exchange yet. You got to buy it from you guys. So how do you do this?
You go back to the site again. I'll show you. You can just show them. You go to your news.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I got to push the buttons. Oops, that's the wrong button. We'll do that button right there.
Okay. So scroll down to the bottom of the page as far as you can go. Just pull it down. At the bottom, there's a button that says invest.
Okay, well, let me change my screen here. It's not letting me. Okay, hold on.
We could see it. It was on the right-hand side, but
yeah, hold on. Let me there we go. That's better. Got to figure out how to operate this machine.
All right.
Now,
so at the bottom it says invest. Click
right
it.
There.
So this takes you to a website called Issuance Express, which is owned by North Capital Partners. It's an equity crowdfund platform. And then to the right there, it gives you the offering, the min and max, the price per share, $2.
Right there.
And then it shows you 1,235,000 is the max offering. If you scroll down a little more on the right-hand side, right there, it'll say the dollar amount capital raised, which is 388, I think, something like that. Is that what it says? I can't really see it.
Yeah. 388, 180.
Yeah, about 400. And then all this does is it's like, it's as we scale and grow, you run into problems. It's like if I had 5,000, articles a week coming in, we have to approve every article. So you're going to have growing pains as you grow. So every company experiences this. Even Amazon did. Amazon sold its first product, and then it's easy for one guy to ship it and deliver it. But if all of a sudden you got 3,000 orders today, one guy's not going to be able to do it. So it's the same thing. But this is the kind of growth you want, Mike, because for me to double my content creator base, which is not hard to do, that's the greatest problem in the world, right? And remember, everybody that signs up has a value to me of between 10 and 12 grand. So this is where I'm saying, when you get to about 50,000, you're looking at a $500 or $600 million market cap. Just compare it to Rumble. Same thing. They got 250,000. They're worth 3 billion. So by the time I get there, it should be about the same number. And there's no difference. News is news. I don't care if it's written, audio, or video. You got guys like, your show, you get what, 5,000, 6,000 people a day, right?
Yeah, give or take 4,000 right now. It seems that Rumble rechanged their algorithm and the way they count their views, which they do every once in a while.
So you're worth to Rumble roughly 12 grand. If you were on YouTube, you'd be worth the same thing. On my platform, you're worth the same thing. But then you take a guy like Mark Fincham, Senator Fincham out of Arizona. That guy's got look at his X page. I think there's 250,000 people that follow him on X, which I've seen him post stories that get 30, 40,000 people read it on my site. So it doesn't matter if it's audio, video, or print. There's less people that produce news than consume news, right? Everybody consumes content. So it's really an average. It's like Joe Rogan is more valuable than everybody, right? Because his audience reaches 11 million an episode. But when he's on YouTube, he's still worth 11 or 12 grand. If he leaves, there's still 50 million other people. The traffic doesn't even dent the traffic. So it's an average is what I'm trying to tell you.
Right.
So now that I know that what the average content creator is worth, now there's actually numbers you could put to your digital property. It's kind of like when you're selling your house for 400,000 and somebody says, how do you know it's worth 400 grand? And you can say, well, the guy next to me just sold his identical house for 400. The guy across the street, it's comparables. So it's all comparable. So all the void that Rumble filled was people like you getting kicked off of YouTube. And now they've got a value of almost $3 billion. The void I fill is the legacy media's collapse, and they have nowhere to go. In addition, YouTube, anybody can become a broadcaster. Like, you didn't go to broadcast journalism school, did you?
No, I didn't go to school. What are you talking about?
So I'm going to give you another prediction. Well, what I'm saying is everybody on YouTube, for the most part, never went to broadcast journalism school, and the marketplace decides what kind of content they like and what they don't like.
Yep.
Well, you have all these kids in journalism school, Missouri School of Journalism, right? Okay. That's going to not be in existence in another 5 years. You want to know why? Because nobody's going to be hiring these people. People are going to sign up on platforms.
Right.
And so you're going to take, it could be some soccer mom that's never been in a news reporter in her life, but she knows every single person in the community. She goes to all the city council meetings and she starts reporting the news, and she's a news reporter. That's what news reporting is. So I just see these journalism schools being obsolete because the legacy media, you had to go to journalism school. Where'd you get your degree? Okay, now we're going to give you an internship and you can work your way up. That ship has sailed. That no longer is in existence. If you want to become a broadcaster, you go to YouTube or Rumble. Now, if you want to become a news reporter, you go to Your News. So we'll have people coming out of the woodwork, and the marketplace will decide who makes it or not. It's just going to be that simple. If you produce crap content, you're not going to grow big. If you produce great stuff, you're going to build a big audience. It's my job to build technology that enhances revenue potential, such as a follow button on our site, right? So you know how Rumble has a follow. So I'm in the process of doing that now. So eventually, as you build your content on our platform, people will be able to follow you. And then when you submit something, if you have 10,000 followers, it'll automatically just alert people's phones. Mike just submitted something, and they can instantly access it. And all of a sudden it just racks up revenue for you. So that's where we're at. So I'm on a big push to finish this thing as fast as possible. I also am talking to you were on with me and Dave Waddell, right?
Yeah. With Q Broadcasting. Yes.
Okay. So Dave and I are in talks.
That's all you can say about that?
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. The benefit to Dave is, so Dave has an affiliate program. You participate in it. Okay. Yes. What I plan on doing for Dave is 100% of all the signups I bring on over the next few years, everybody will automatically have a Q broadcast stream. And at the bottom, it'll say switch to, to drop cable, switch to streaming, save money, whatever, something like that.
Right.
So the value to him is if I pick up 50,000 news reporters, he has 50,000 people promoting his brand. Explain to me why he doesn't want to participate.
Right.
This is a no-brainer. So, and by the way, Dave could take the whole thing. I'm just telling you, there's a high probability that we may end up something. But I have 2 more in play too. Not something else.
Awesome. So anyways, yournews.com. If you want to go check out Your News, go down to the bottom and hit invest if you want to be a partner and get involved on the ground floor, basically. And and if you want to support the Patriot Mike show, I got a QR code up there somewhere. I don't know where it's at. It switches screens on me, and that's where you get a hold of my products at nueva.com. The products that have made a huge difference for me, the collagen that has really helped me with the constant pain and inflation. Can't say the other word. Anyways, that's how you do it. So go check out yournews.com. They have a lot of great content. I showed you some of it. You can get all the content from your local area all the way to around the world. And anything else you want to say before we shut her down here?
No, I mean, I think we pretty much covered. I just love talking to you, Mike. I could sit here and do this all day. You know, it's fun.
Yeah, but we're over on time, and I got a meeting I got to get to.
Yeah,
so.
me too. All right, bud. Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. And
No
you know,
we'll talk soon.
You got it. See ya.
All right, bye. All right, folks, that's it for the Patriot Mike. So you know what today is? Today is Friday. You know what Friday means? Friday means that you need to turn it off. Take the weekend off. Don't worry about it. I'll come back Monday. And tell you guys are talking about the QR code. I'll come back Monday and tell you what happened over the weekend. So don't worry about it. Take a break. And I think Columbus Day, Donald Trump just signed an executive order making it back to Columbus Day instead of indigenous whatever. So go celebrate Columbus Day if you get the day off. Most of us don't. Anyways, I'm out of here. Have a good weekend.